Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to another episode of Sobering Truth, where we are seeking to lower the reputation of alcohol in the court of public opinion. And I have with me my co-host, Miss Iris Stevens. Hi, Iris.
Hey,
How are you?
doing just great.
Well, today wanted to talk about a article in the Jonesboro Sun that appeared. It's called "Why Many Are Rethinking Alcohol." It was in there yesterday, and it begs a question about the larger anti-alcohol movement. There's several things that are going on, like Sober Curious and the neo-temperate movement. And Iris, have you ever heard of Dry January? Do you know what that is?
Yes. Yeah, I've heard of January, but you know what? You're starting to talk about these movements. It just thrilled me because for so long it seems like some of us, with Bob and some of us, and even including you, have been screaming in the desert about this. And come to find out, as we're doing the research, there is a lot. There are a lot of organizations beginning to get involved in this. They call it neo prohibition, also neo temperance. Um, I'm thrilled. What about you?
I'm thrilled too. And like we always say, we don't want to ban it, but we want to bring the truth to the public about the health effects and the cost of what it costs our society as a whole. Even the people that don't drink, it costs them money and other things too. If your family member is hit in a crash by a drunk driver and permanently injured or killed, you are affected. You have to pay higher taxes to make up for what the drinker has done. And I just I just think that people are realizing it. I think the driving force may be the their concern with health. What do you think?
Well, I know that's with the young people. I saw the statistics about the number of young people who are not drinking anymore or drinking much, much less for their health because they're concerned with some of the health information that's come out. That's what's so important to get this information out while we're doing it, while a lot of other groups are doing it, because a lot of kids didn't realize that even fairly small amounts of alcohol begin to build up in your system and create problems. And so if they anything that would inform them and keep them from drinking, especially drinking to excess, is I think wonderful. And when I saw, I think I sent you a document that contained a whole bunch, what, 12, 14, 20 something different organizations that are getting
Yes.
involved in helping these kids find out what's going on and supporting them in those decisions.
Yes, and it was a professor that he wrote negative about them, and I didn't see anything negative about informing the public, especially our youth, about the dangers of alcohol and abusing alcohol. And he said he wasn't bankrolled, I guess, by big alcohol. I just wonder. And I wanted to read at least part of this article, and I want to comment on it. And like I say, it was in the Jonesboro Sun, so it's got a local angle. It's from the AP though, and it says fewer Americans are reporting that they drink alcohol amid a growing belief that even moderate alcohol consumption is a health risk, according to a Gallup poll released Wednesday. And everybody knows AP and everybody knows Gallup, so this is a trusted source. So it goes on to say a record high percentage of U.S. adults, 53%, now say moderate drinking is bad for their health, up from 28% in 2015. Now, Iris, that's not quite double, but in 10 years, their attitudes have changed. That's
Well,
pretty
there's been
amazing.
a lot of, yeah, there's been a lot of information, especially health information, come out in that last 10 years. People have, especially our major health industries, have, they've been looking at this. And I guess because it was such a problem, so many people were suffering from alcohol related diseases. And of course, we've talked about before alcohol, uh, you know, abuse of alcohol, which can be as little as 8 drinks a week, can cut 13 years off your lifespan and cause you to have all sorts of medical problems. Of course, the medical profession has to deal with those. And
Right.
that's why I think why they have come out with these studies. I know the WHO, World Health Organization, was one of the first that produced an international study showing how bad even small, moderate amounts of alcohol were.
Right. And I'm, the younger people you said are the ones that are thinking about the health aspect of it, and it all seems like it's going together seamlessly, like the Maha movement, Make America
Yeah,
Healthy Again. You
it's
know,
interesting, isn't it, that it
it
comes
it
about
really
the same
is.
time as we're getting rid of all of these chemicals and dyes and things in our food that they haven't had for years in food in Europe. They wonder
Right.
why, we've got all these colorings with all of the preservatives, everything. And I've wondered it myself. When I found out how little of that was in European food, it really frustrated me that our country, our FDA allowed all of
I
that stuff in
know,
our.
right?
But
It's
back to
crazy.
this article about that was written by this professor out of New York, and I agree with you. It was a very negative article about lessening the drinking, and things that we take for granted that we want done. He saw as being very detrimental, like increasing taxes on alcohol, limiting or reducing the number of sales outlets,
Right.
like Jonesboro is not doing with adopting every alcohol permit that comes across their table,
That's
limiting the
right.
alcohol content of drinks, prohibiting or censoring alcohol ads. We've called for that, requiring warning messages on all alcohol ads, as well as bottles and cans and things, expanding the display of warning signs where alcohol is sold, limiting the days or hours during which alcohol can be sold. It used to only, it used to be limited, and I remember when that started changing in Arkansas, that you could buy drinks at times when before you could. They widened that time frame that you could buy drinks, which makes it even worse.
Yeah, it makes it
Um,
more available.
yes, it makes it more available. Then limiting the sale of alcohol to people of specific ages. And I was in a restaurant just recently, so I know some places are doing this. And there was a neon sign: "We check IDs. We check IDs." And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. They're that upfront with it.
Yeah.
And then decreasing the legal blood alcohol content level for driving vehicles or other activities. I've seen they want that to go down, as I think it's point 0.8, point 0.08 now, and they want to go down to point 0.5 or whether it's point 0.05. And so those are all things that we would have supported. We do support. No,
Yes. I think I think you got some technical problems, but I'll go on and I will finish reading this short article. And it says the uptick in doubt about alcohol's benefits is largely driven by young adults, the age group that most likely to believe drinking
nowhere does it say we.
one or more drinks a day can cause health hazards, but older adults also are now increasingly likely to think moderate drinking carries risk. You remember the times whenever they would say, and it was a myth. We all know now it was a myth. Oh, drinking some wine will help your heart, and
Yeah,
and they sold that bill of goods to us all. I mean, not to me because I don't drink, but to the public in general. So it says as concerns about health impacts rise, fewer Americans are reporting that they drink. The survey finds, and I find this interesting, the survey finds that 54% of U.S. adults say they drink alcoholic beverages such as liquor, wine, or beer. That's lower than at any point in the past 3 decades. So it's a little more than half. So half of the country doesn't drink, and a little more than half does. So I thought it was like 80%, that drank, but this gives me hope. And it goes on to say the findings of the poll, which was conducted in July, indicate that after years of many believing that moderate drinking was harmless, aka where they said you can drink and it'll help your heart, or I'm putting that in myself, or even beneficial. Worries about alcohol consumption are taking hold. According to Gallup's data, even those who consume alcohol are drinking less. So that's a plus there, I think. And now the federal government is updating the new dietary guidelines. And I knew they were going to do the food pyramid, but it says here that it says including the alcohol. And it says before COVID-19, government data showed U.S. alcohol consumption was trending up, but other government surveys have shown a decline in certain types of drinking, particularly among teenagers and young adults. So that right there is hopeful to me.
She froze again.
And I'll go on. It likes just a little bit here. This comes alongside a new drumbeat of information about alcohol's risk. While moderate drinking was once thought to have benefits for heart health, health professionals in recent years have pointed overwhelming evidence that alcohol consumption leads to negative health outcomes and is a leading cause of cancer. We've already talked about that before, about alcohol consumption is linked to 7 different types of cancers. And it ends saying about half of those who worry moderate drinking is unhealthy said they had a drink in the previous week, compared with about 7 in 10 who did not think drinking was bad for their health. So that's saying about 5 out of 10 who worry about moderate drinking being bad for the health, they said they had a drink in the previous week, but 70% who didn't think drinking was bad for their health had a drink. So information does matter. And I have some articles from some of these places. Iris, jump in when you can jump in. Technology is wonderful. She is frozen right now, but we're trying to get her back on. This was one of those organizations that Iris mentioned that is fighting alcohol, and it's called the Center on Alcohol Marketing and Youth. And it's talking about a subject I never knew about. It's powdered alcohol. It's called Palcohol. And that, I never heard of that. And it says that it first began appearing in the 19th century, and there were companies seeking patents. And it says, although powdered alcohol has been sold internationally, no company has successfully succeeded in selling it in the U.S. But in April of 2014, this company in Arizona, a private company, it's had a powdered alcohol product that it called Palcohol. And it was designed to be added to water to create a standard mixed drink. And then it's called the Alcohol, Tobacco Tax and Tax Bureau, the TTB. It approved a label for it on April 8th, and it rescinded that on April 21st. And on their website, the Palcohol company, it said that yes, you can snort it. And you'll get drunk almost instantly because the alcohol will be absorbed so quickly in your nose. Good idea? No, it will mess you up. Well, why did they put it in there in the first place? Or we found adding Palcohol to food is so much fun. Remember, you have to add Palcohol after the dish is cooked or the alcohol will burn off. And that defeats the purpose. And finally, they said, what's worse than going to a concert or sporting event and having to pay $10, $15, or $20 for a mixed drink when you can just take Palcohol into the venue and enjoy a mixed drink for a fraction of the cost? Whoopee. So powdered alcohol, never heard of it. And I'm glad these organizations are giving information and getting it out to people. And another one, it's, let's see, what is this one? It's from the Journal of Studies on Alcohol and Drugs. And it says evidence has been mounting that the alcoholic beverage industry, it's not adhering to its self-regulation guidelines. Well, my goodness, I'm so shocked. It's like the fox guarding the hen house. And the authors of this study, they explain that alcohol advertising influences young people by associating alcohol with fun times and desirable attributes and parties, celebrations, sports, and recreation. So those kind of things appeal to young people. And that's like the Joe Camel cartoon character with the cigarettes that we saw. And another one is, let's talk about taxes. You know, the taxes on cigarettes went up, and they are just out of sight if you're a smoker. And this was something from the Coalition for the Prevention of Alcohol Problems. I'd never heard of this organization. And this was written in 2005, and it's the title of it is Noted Economists Support Higher Taxes on Alcoholic Beverages. And they signed this declaration, and 4 of them are winners of the Nobel Prize for Economics, and 4 former presidents of the American Economic Association. And this is one of the facts in here that kind of stunned me. It says federal excise taxes on alcoholic beverages have failed to keep up with inflation, having increased only once in 54 years. 54 years, the taxes have not increased for beer and wine, and only twice for liquor. And this just staggered me. Current alcohol revenues, some $18 billion at the local, state, and federal levels, don't come close to offsetting the staggering public health and safety costs of alcohol consumption, estimated at $185 billion a year, including $53 billion per year for the cost of underage drinking alone. That is what really bothers me, for one thing, because even if you don't drink, I'm going to pound this home. Even if you don't drink, you're going to have to pay for this, whether taxes or whether it's your family member that gets injured or hurt in an accident. They may be innocently driving down the road or walking down the road, whatever. People will drive drunk. They don't. When they get drunk, they think they're not drunk, and then they get in the car and drive, and they can hurt or kill somebody, including themselves. And I just want to say, Iris, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. So do you have any comments about what I just said?
Yeah, I think, well, of course, we all agree with that. And what gets me is when I was reading these, some of this information, one of the things, and I always, when I read, I'll highlight or underline stuff. And during the period of the study of an alcohol study by Ross, from 2005 to 2012, the alcohol industry spent $7.5 billion, placing 2,461,999 advertisements on television, of which 7.7 were telecast on programs that exceeded the alcohol industry's underage composition guidelines, meaning they were in programs that they shouldn't have been because kids were watching them. Alcohol advertising influences, they've seen by this, alcohol advertising influences youth drinking by associating alcohol and desirable attributes and enjoyable activities such as parties, celebrations, sports, recreation. Advertising contributes to excessive drinking in young people, and they knew that when they did these studies, but the studies confirmed it. Many studies have found that alcohol advertising changes attitudes toward alcohol, promotes positive expectations of alcohol use, and increases both intentions to drink and subsequent drinking behavior. So, all of these ads, and we're not talking, I think you can go back way to make young, even very young kids have a positive attitude. But I think about the, junior high and high school students who then, go out to party, who think that you have to have alcohol to party. And so that's one of the reasons I want to see advertising come off television.
Yes, I agree.
At least off of TV, radio. I don't know about the print media because let's face it, how many people read print media nowadays? But that's why we need that, because that does have a positive impact on kids, and they will drink after that.
Yeah, they will. And I believe it was said, and you can tell me about cigarettes. We've talked about the similarities between how they,
Yes.
Cigarettes and alcohol. They said about cigarettes that it was or tobacco, it was the only product when used properly would kill the user. Well,
Yeah.
that is true of alcohol too, and maybe not kill your body, but it can kill your soul. It can kill your dreams. If you're a high
Well, it
school,
can kill your family.
yeah, it can kill your
It can kill
family.
innocent people. So, yeah, it's like tobacco. Tobacco may kill the user. As a rule, it doesn't kill the people surrounding it or not related to it. Alcohol has the unfortunate situation of not only can kill the user, but can kill other people,
Right.
through the misuse of alcohol.
Yes. And like we said before, even there's no safe amount of alcohol, but it's better for them to drink less than to drink more, for sure.
Yeah.
And these kids that are trying to be athletes, these high school kids, or whatever their vocation they're trying to be, they need to have all their faculties. They don't need to be drinking, smoking. What kind of nation are we going to be? I mean, when they're drinking or smoking pot or whatever, we're gonna.
Well,
We're
it's
not.
all of that is mood altering, and we've got a real problem in this country with people needing substances to alter their moods. Now, some of that is legitimate. We do have people that have depression problems, but not as many people are using alcohol and marijuana and other drugs to just alter their mood, to create a different environment mentally for them. And that's the problem. That's the deep-seated problem. There's a difference between somebody who goes out and gets drunk every night versus someone who does have that wine a couple of times a week, maybe at a restaurant or something like that, maybe even not that much. There is a difference in that. But I tell you what, we see way too much of the first. We condemn drugs and almost everywhere. This is your brain on drugs. I remember those. But we haven't done that with alcohol. That I've ever seen. Very infrequently do we see something about, and it's usually about not drinking and driving. It's not about just not drinking, period. So, we've got to change that frame. We've got to do, and that's what we're trying to do. And all the research that we've talked about today, that's what they're trying to do. Major groups. And one of the things, and I'll probably forget my next train of thought, but anyway, one of the things I was amazed at, the article that I sent about the professor who named all these groups. Some of these groups are what I would call very liberal groups that have known it for very liberal. I was really kind of surprised that they would get involved in this kind of activity to introduce the problems with alcohol and to create a situation where we, like you and I have said, we take it out of the positive public appreciation, alcohol. So
Right.
I was really surprised at that we've got a lot of groups out there that have a totally different philosophy than maybe you and I do, but we're still working on the same goal in this
Yeah.
instance.
I don't see how people, like sort of like on the line of thinking you were talking about they they don't want to do have drunk driving. Nobody wants that, but why don't they just not drink at all and it won't cause any problems, And I like that the youth are being health conscious, and it seems like every time something good is going, there's something negative to counteract it. Like, that there are some soft drinks now that have hard liquor in them.
Yeah, I
Like,
know the Mountain Dew especially.
yeah, the Mountain Dew, hard Mountain Dew. Now, I was talking to someone yesterday, and she said, "Look at this. Nobody would notice that." I said, "Yeah, they might think that where it says hard up there or whatever, they might think it says diet, and some kid might start drinking those." Or
Well, that has been, as a matter of fact, I think I remember where that was a legal issue here a while back with the Mountain Dew not making it prominent enough on their materials that it was alcohol, that
yeah,
contained alcohol. And I have never liked Mountain Dew. I wouldn't drink Mountain Dew if it didn't have alcohol in it. But I know a lot of people do, and especially kids.
right.
Got a lot
And
of caffeine in it.
I just think that's not that's on purpose to get kids
Oh,
to drink it.
absolutely. It's on
It's like
purpose.
the Joe
And,
Camel thing,
yeah.
and like we
A
should.
cartoon character, for those who don't remember, Joe Camel was a cartoon character from Camel Cigarettes that was really cute and really
Yeah,
engaging and really attracted the kids.
right.
And
And
one of the things that's good about Craighead County being a dry county, as far as I know, they cannot sell hard Mountain Dew in Craighead County. It may look like a soft drink, but they can't sell it here.
right. And if somebody was doing that, they should be reported. But
Yeah,
yeah,
there's Joe Camel.
it's to target our youth, and I just do not like that. And I want Americans to be healthy again. I want us to be number one again. We can't be number one if we're awash in alcohol, drugs, and mind-altering substances. And I just think that's not good to target the young people.
Well, obviously, it's not good to target young people for anything like that. And it seems like our society is really bad about targeting kids, the young. Of course, you eventually lose your older customers
Hmm.
and they have to get new customers. So that's why they target the young. But, I
Right.
think it's been, we have a long history of alcohol problems in this country. When I was reading some of the information for today's program, I read an interesting, fact that in 1830, Americans drank 3 times the amount of spirits that we do today,
Oh,
the
wow.
equivalent of 90 bottles of 80 proof booze a year. That's unbelievable.
Pickled
As
livers.
distilled, yeah, as distilled. Well, of course, their average lifespan then back then was about 45. Also,
Wonder why.
as well, yeah, exactly. As distilled liquor became widely available, men were wasting most of their wages on alcohol and staying out all night at saloons. And what we now call domestic abuse was rampant, and that gave us the temperance movement. Well, what do we see today? We see 29,000 people a year die on the roads. Is that the correct figure?
I believe
And
so.
driving under the influence of either alcohol or mind altering chemicals. And that's just, that's the equivalent of what we saw back then.
It's unacceptable. And Iris, on that note, I think we're going to stop here. And next week we're supposed to have a guest. And if you all would call in, you can get this book and free of charge, and call 870-910-0464. And please make some comments below and like and share our videos and podcast. And we will see you next time.